This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things horrific and horror-related. Read the reviews, frolic in the forum, hem and haw over the horoscopes, and listen mightily to the Horror Movie Show with Mark and Jerry, your horrible hosts.
Hey there, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you an episode of the Horror Movie Show, hmpod.com. This is our Christmas show, so...
Hey, give me one of those.
There you go. There you go.
Stereo.
In stereo, yeah. We're decked out in our holiday best. Mark is dressed as an elf. Nice pointed ears on him. And
I always dress
big green
like this.
hat. Oh. It's very nice. Those bells make it very difficult to sleep, though. I find I wake up when I roll over on my bells. You don't want to.
Especially if you get booted in the bells.
Yeah, no, it jingles.
It's more than jingle.
Yeah, so you got any Christmas plans this year, Mark?
Other than having a big meal with the family, no, not really.
No,
nothing
You're having
huge.
food this year? What are you going to have? Spam?
Yeah, that's it. Are you going to invite me over?
Well, we're going to see the brother-in-law and his family for Christmas. All the in-laws will be over there, so I don't know. I don't think there's any way I can get out of it. Of course, I'm kidding. It'll be fun. And the niece and nephew are always great.
So you're
fun.
going to be out of town for the actual Christmas?
I'm not going to announce that. Wait, why would I say something like that? This is going out. All kinds of maniacs are listening to us right now.
You're just going to have your 10 guard dogs.
Yeah,
vicious dogs.
Yeah. We'll set a
chained up with no food.
We'll set a big pot of oatmeal over the door, so if anybody comes in, it'll drop on their heads. I go with the Laurel and Hardy version of home security.
I see.
So we got a few movies to talk about. Christmas movies. We'll be getting to those in a moment, but let's start with a big release, the second Thor movie. Thor, The Dark World. And I'm assuming that he sat on his bells because he's very Thor. So directed by Alan Taylor and James Gunn. It took two guys to direct this movie. Written by Christopher Yost, Christopher Marcus, and Stephen McFeely. That's a funny name. Stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Natalie Portman is back as Jane Foster. What a heroic name she has. Tom Hiddleston is Loki, certainly my favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
He's the only one with a sense of humor in the damn movie.
That's the whole thing.
Everybody's so grim.
Oh, that's not true. There are some comic spots throughout the whole movie.
But he's the most entertaining thing.
They make a little fun of themselves, yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is really over the top as Odin. Goodness gracious. It's like Hannibal Lecter as God. Christopher Eccleston plays Malekith. Idris Elba plays the gatekeeper Heimdall. I love Idris Elba. He's terrific. Mm-hmm. I've never seen the use of her. Rene Russo plays Mama Frigga.
Didn't recognize her.
Yeah,
but she did a good job.
She's Thor's mom, Odin's wife. Benicio del Toro gets an uncredited role, the Collector.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's in there. And Chris Evans shows up as Captain America.
Yeah, that was funny.
Though only for a moment or two,
yes.
as Loki takes different forms.
Yes, that was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, and again, showing that Loki is the only character you could have fun with if you were at the pub.
Yeah.
Thor is just such a pretentious bore.
Oh, I didn't find. I like this movie, but
Did you like it as much as the first one? That's my.
Yes, I did
question.
actually.
Did you? I thought the first one was more entertaining.
I thought the second one was.
Oh, well,
there you go. We agree to disagree.
So you enjoyed it more then?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, all right.
Having read some of the background material on this, I think they had a lot of problems with this movie because at one point the director that they had scheduled to do the movie opted out because of creative differences.
That's why there's two. So he must have done some of it.
No, it was a woman.
Oh, all right.
And Natalie Portman actually wasn't going to do the movie because they dropped the first director. But she was under contract, so she had to do the movie.
Right.
Well, but she threatened not to do it. So there was a lot of bickering in the background.
That's how she seems in this movie, as if she's only there sort of under pressure.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just reading about these little tidbits of things in the background and the fact that they had a bunch of different writers trying to do the script.
Right.
At one point, they brought Joss Whedon in, did a little bit of rewriting of the script, a few of the scenes and things like that. And so, obviously they had problems.
Right.
But having not known that when I watched the movie, I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was all right.
I thought it had its humor, which I like. I think it's important in this type of movie because Thor is a dry character.
Oh, God, isn't he? Yeah.
So he needs the humor.
Yeah.
And it went along quite nicely. I thought there was no boring parts in it, I don't think. And Loki kept it interesting.
Yeah, he's not in it enough. I would much rather, and I certainly hope that he's back for the next movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine you can't
He might
eliminate...
even be in the Avenger movie as well.
Yeah.
They're kind of building up to the next one.
Yeah. He keeps getting slapped. That's sort of a running gag. Every woman who comes along slaps him across the face.
The thing about that character, even in the comicdom, he's always coming back. He's always getting defeated.
Yeah.
He's always being put in prison or sent to some hellish dimension or whatever. He always comes back.
Yeah.
And then looking at the way they draw him in the comics, he's got these huge horns.
Right.
And I think that they really look silly.
Oh, yes.
They look extremely silly in the comic. At least they don't do that.
But Mark, you say he keeps coming back in the comics. Well, look at the Joker, the Riddler. Look at Lex Luthor.
Well, of course, they can't get rid of...
Every villain always comes back.
He is Thor's biggest villain. But an anti-hero as well.
Yeah.
Because he has his own comic books. He has his own storylines. He has his,
In between Loki and Mr. Mixpicklix.
But, he can do good as well as evil.
Yeah.
He's got his own agenda.
Well, I when I was little, before I read any of these silly Thor Marvel comics, and I always found them silly because I had already been reading the Norse tales, and I loved the real legends from Norse mythology.
Okay.
And Loki is not evil. He's not a bad guy.
He's mischief.
He's the Joker, and he's analogous to the Raven in West Coast native mythology.
Exactly.
Just around the world, the idea that there is a god who is a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Now, not evil, but he's the one who
throws
puts
the wrench in. When
he puts the salt in the sugar pot. Just to keep things interesting. Because immortality, or in this case near immortality, is kind of boring.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You tell people lies.
And you try to get people mad at each other by doing certain things.
And I like that idea of the dark side in mythology better than, say, the Judeo-Christian Islamic idea where the devil is the complete opposite of God, and therefore is no fun.
But God's no fun either.
Oh, I know.
So it's like it's completely dull.
Yeah. Harlan Ellison has a wonderful story in which it's revealed that Satan, in fact, was trying to protect human beings from God, and God is completely and utterly insane. Because he is all powerful, he is completely and utterly corrupted.
Yeah.
And Satan is on human side just saying, I'll do what I can. But this God guy is really powerful. And if he finds you, you're in big trouble.
Well, I've been reading these quotes and things like that. It's like wisdom is fear of God. Now, what kind of God sets themselves up to be feared?
Just feared. Yeah.
I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah. Well,
God is supposed to be love.
Yeah. Well, but
fearful love.
No, but he wasn't love. That's where Christianity tried to make a philosophical break from the old Jewish tradition of God, which was a vengeful, powerful,
very vengeful,
mean-spirited, petty God.
Hey, come on, kill your brother for me. Come on, go do it.
No, not that I believe in Jesus per se, but the New Testament's the main lesson the best lesson to be taken from Jesus is, I give you a new commandment, and that is love one another as I have loved you. And you can't fault that as a philosophy.
Yeah.
All the great leaders have said that, from Martin Luther King to Buddha. There's nothing wrong with that philosophy. The problem is the people who are supposedly enforcing the rules
once again, power.
Power corrupts.
Yeah. They want the power.
So anyway, we're getting way off topic here. There are no such philosophical depths to Thor, the Dark World. Is it basically the dark elves who wanted to run the universe, or were running the universe before, Odin and his clan
True.
Yeah, popped out of nowhere. Yeah. But the Dark Elves, I thought it was funny. They're called the Dark Elves, and they want to plunge everything into darkness, and yet the main Dark Elf is like pale as an albino.
They just live in a dark area.
Yeah. It's just they got to get more street lights.
Yeah, get a better sun.
Yeah. Valhalla, or wherever it is that the Norse god-like aliens live, is very entertaining and more interesting. We spend more time there in this second movie than we did in the first one. And Idris Elba's character, Heimdall, the gatekeeper, he's lots of fun.
Yeah.
And he won't lie to Odin, but he manages to find a way around the truth and cover for Thor when him and Natalie
fesses
Portman...
up too. He fesses up to helping Thor get back to Earth.
Yeah.
So,
But he closes the gate for like the first time ever, at least since the first movie. There's always in these movies, superhero movies, there's always, these superlatives. This has never happened before. Oh, wait, we'll do it again. Okay, it's not so unusual. Whatever is needed to move the plot along.
There's such a difference between Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth in size.
Yeah.
They actually had to build a ramp for her to kiss him.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, down through the ages, Monty Python makes fun of the fact that Alan Ladd, for example, they had to dig a trench for the leading lady to stand in for their kissing scenes because she towered over him. And he was either standing on a stool or she was in a trench. Because otherwise, he looked like a dwarf.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with actors. If the lead actor in a movie is short, they don't hire tall actors.
No.
Everyone has to be short.
Yeah.
So
you
it's
have
like
Tom Cruise, who's 4'6".
Yeah.
They can't hire anybody but children to work with him.
Really? I hadn't realized that. My mom towers over him.
I'm talking centimeters, too. Really small. So you liked Thor. I thought it was all right. It was...
It's not a heavy movie at all.
No. But it does. It barrels along, and if you like special effects, it's
eye candy.
Chock-a-block full of special effects.
And eye candy.
Yeah.
I can't say anything bad about it other than it's just fluff.
Yeah.
And it's a good holiday movie.
Yeah.
That's
well, I guess you can see it on the holidays. It doesn't have much to do with Christmas.
It's about God.
Yeah. There you go.
And his son.
And yes, various sons.
You can just extrapolate from there.
And adopted. Yeah. Okay, well, let's get on to some Christmas movies here. I've got an old chestnut, Christmas Evil, written and directed by Lewis Jackson. Released about 1980. It stars Brandon Maggart as Harry Stadling. And then the one actor I recognize who went on to do much better things, Jeffrey DeMunn, plays his brother Philip Stadling. Otherwise, it's a no-name cast.
Yeah, and his brother, Jeffrey DeMunn's character is pretty wishy-washy.
Oh, it's just awful. Well, just lay it on the table. It's a terrible movie. Well, it's entertaining being a Christmas movie and all, but the whole setup of why the guy becomes a psycho obsessed with Christmas. He sees his mum
making out with Santa. Who is his dad.
Yeah, and this is what twists him and scars him and turns him into a homicidal maniac for the rest of his life.
I can't say
I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus and I went psycho.
Now, it says in IMDb that told him there was no Santa Claus.
Right. His brother is saying that.
Yeah, but to me, I don't think he realized that was his dad.
Yeah, I know. But really, you see your mom fooling around with somebody in a Santa suit, and that's all it takes to
push you over
into a lunatic?
Yeah.
A murderous lunatic?
Well, he's not that murderous. I mean, and he doesn't start killing it.
One is murderous.
No, it doesn't happen until he's quite older.
Yeah.
And he's being
pressured at work.
He is
works in the toy factory.
Yeah, he works in a toy factory, and these toys are just wonderfully old, bad toys.
Yeah, terrible company.
and they just churn them out. And there's these long lines of assembly lines.
Pointless assembly lines.
But they go into the detail of having these people in this huge factory making these...
Huge empty factory.
Yeah, and with just this line of toys that they're assembling.
Yeah.
And I love
One person could do the job.
fact that when he's peeping in on these kids, under the tree are these toys that his company manufactures.
Yeah.
And, it's like...
It's a very small cut-off town, obviously.
Obviously.
They don't have Sears. They don't have any other companies.
I felt some sympathy for his character. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like tormented.
Yeah.
He's a very tormented person.
He's like a sad neighborhood loony. He's very lonely. He's got no friends. He's got no woman in his life.
If people take advantage of him.
Yeah. That's right. He's a joke at work.
Yeah. It's seething up in him.
Yes.
And he wants to do good for good people. He's got these two books.
Yes.
One for the naughty list, one for the nice. And he notices everything people do.
Yes.
And he puts...
Which is a tad creepy.
It is very creepy. Because not only does he have your name in the naughty or the good list, but he has attributes
all the
of
things
why you are in there. And there could be, it could be quite extensive list.
So he's got notes on all the kids in the neighborhood, and most of them are good, but he finds one little brat, picks his nose, lies, doesn't go to
unclean.
He's unclean, And he's definite psycho coming out here,
And then he spots this one guy who loves Penthouse magazine.
Oh, well, that's the same brat.
And
he's just got it in for that one kid. That's the unclean thought.
And he goes out of his way to fill a sack full of dirt.
Yeah.
And delivers it to this kid's house with his name and a big bow on the sack.
It could have been a very, very funny movie with less killing and more sort of weirdness in it. But it does sort of drop to the level of all the slasher
movies. He doesn't kill the
movies.
kid. He just gives him a sack full of dirt.
No, he's mostly killing adults.
Yes.
The whole town is up for midnight mass, and he pulls up in his van, which has got a big sleigh painted on the side, a big Santa sleigh. He's all dressed as Santa, and he comes out and with this lead soldier with a spike on the end of it, and he stabs two people to death on the church steps in front of a crowd, and he gets back in his van and drives away, and they can't help the police.
Yeah.
Didn't really notice anything except he was dressed as Santa Claus. How about the van?
Yeah.
Nobody mentions this.
It does get mentioned a little later on as he goes from place to place.
Yeah, killing along the way.
The van with... And then at the end, the sleigh, the van goes off this cliff.
Flies through the air. It's so funny. It's so stupidly funny.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the big gag, that it's Santa's sleigh, and he's achieved flight.
He's off to the North Pole or wherever he's going to go.
Who's a big fan of this movie?
Who?
And he actually did a commentary for it. John Waters, the king of bad taste.
Really?
Well, yeah, you can see it's very like a movie. It could have starred Divine. It's like Pink Flamingos.
Yes, this movie could have been more of a cult favorite if it had a little more black humor in it.
Yeah, and I also think it was a little bit better made. Because it is very amateur.
Sure.
The acting, uniformly, including Jeffrey DeMunn, is pretty damn bad.
Yeah, DeMunn is... the whole attitude towards his brother.
Oh, I know.
It's just wacko. He's more of a nut job than his brother is.
I know, and he's supposed to be the nice, normal...
He's supposed to be the family man.
Yeah.
And every time he talks about his brother, he goes off on a rant. And his wife is even going, let up on the guy.
Yeah.
He's your brother. Be nice to him.
Yeah, have him over. No.
And then he invites him over for Christmas, and he's going, I don't want to do this. So then when his brother says no, he's going, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not coming? Why aren't you coming over? Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Well, I sympathize with having crazy siblings. So
as much as I wanted to really dislike this movie, I think there are some decent moments in it.
It's good fun to watch. But it is stupid from beginning to end, and intentionally stupid. Like, it is not trying to be artistic. It is not trying to be anything but a silly Christmas horror movie.
No, I kind of disagree, especially with the main person in this movie, Harry. He is going slowly insane. More and more so, especially when he puts on the beard.
Oh, yes.
The beard.
Lots of laughing and tugging on his beard.
And you can see that he's tipped. He's gone over the edge. And there was a very interesting build-up to that point.
Oh, see, I didn't think it was that interesting. I thought everything in this movie to me was very, very obvious. Now, the over-the-top acting that both the brothers do is what makes this fun to watch. But by no means would I say this is a good movie.
I think it tries to be a good movie.
Well,
it
might.
It doesn't succeed.
Yeah.
I got to track down John Waters' commentary next year and listen to it, because I'll bet that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because I've always liked John Waters' movies, and his early ones in particular, which is what this is like. His early ones that had, no budget. And, Friends.
Yeah.
Freak Friends.
Well, he probably associated with this movie because it is like Friends.
It is. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Next movie we got. To me, this is the best Christmas movie I've seen in a long time.
Really?
And it's only tangentially related to Christmas. It takes place at Christmas, and it's two sisters and their families getting together at the one sister's house.
I gotta ask you.
Now, let me say what we're talking about here. It's called The Children. It's from 2008, directed by Tom Shankland, written by Shankland and Paul Andrew Williams, based on his story. It's a British movie. Stars Hannah Toynton as Casey, Eva Birthwhistle as Elaine, Stephen Campbell Moore as Jonah, Jeremy Sheffield as Robbie, the worst brother-in-law in the world, and Rachel Shelley as the teenage daughter Chloe.
What did you like about this movie so much?
Well, I mean, it's not in my top 10, but I thought as far as small Christmas-themed horror movies went, I really liked it. To me, it was like the Midwich Cuckoos. The plot basically is that one of the kids showing up, there's like 5 children all together.
I wanted to kill all of them.
Including a teenage daughter.
Not her. She was fine.
And the 4 littler kids, one of the kids showing up to stay for Christmas at the aunt's house has the sniffles, he's coughing, and he vomits when they get out of the car and that. And the other sister is a little upset. Oh my gosh, you brought a sick kid. Oh, he'll get over it. It's no big deal. And then one by one, the kids start getting sick and they start acting peculiar, and eventually they are absolutely homicidal. And I thought it was nicely done. It's verging on a zombie movie. To me, it was very much like the Midwich Cuckoos.
I haven't seen that movie.
You never saw the version remade with Christopher Reeve?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's based on a John Wyndham novel about a town of Midwich. Everybody in the town passes out, and when they wake up, a whole bunch of the women are pregnant.
Oh, yeah, I remember the story.
And they all give birth to these white-haired, glowing-eyed children. They're all perfect children, and it's revealed that, in fact, they're alien spawn.
Right, I remember the movie.
This movie, the kids get sick, and instead of recovering and being their nice little kid selves, they come back as homicidal maniacs. And just one by one, they're killing off their parents.
Now, you see, this whole thing about these kids killing off their parents. We're talking about kids that are like 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, maybe 8, the oldest one. Yeah.
They would have been able to punt those guys across the field. There's just no way they could have killed.
See, what makes it interesting and plausible is that, first off, it's parents having to kill their own children.
Well, I realize that that's pretty traumatic for a parent.
Yeah.
But it was the whole way the kids were shown. The expressionless face, they really didn't move. They had super speed at some points where they would flash from one place to another.
See, I just thought they were running from one spot to another. I never thought they were doing anything. They seemed to be cleverer than a child that age should be, but that's because they weren't kids anymore. They were demonically possessed or zombified, whatever. The mother of Casey and her daughter Casey, the teenager, who seems to be unaffected by this disease. Here she is, becoming a woman. So whether she's going to get this disease and become an evil child or not, we don't know. Even at the end, we don't know, which is nicely done. But her mom and Casey are trapped in the greenhouse. And one of these little monsters keeps coming and coming and coming, and eventually the mum kills the little boy. Now her sister, the little boy's mum, is, of course,
upset,
horrified, and thinks that Casey, who she has seen flirting with her husband. Casey has been flirting with her uncle, and her uncle with her. You know?
Yeah.
And it's innocent, but at the same time, you know, you're talking like a 15, 16-year-old girl here. She's dressed quite provocatively in miniskirt and
got a
stockings.
tattoo.
And she wants to be grown up, and she's being restricted. She's not allowed to use her phone.
And the
or
uncle
go off
saying, "Don't call me uncle."
Yeah, that's right.
Don't call me uncle.
Yeah, no. So that's another element, I thought.
Yeah, I know. But the whole thing to me was so outlandishly ridiculous, the way these kids were killing off the parents, that I started to laugh. And I couldn't take it serious.
Right.
All I was doing,
I don't think you have to take it seriously.
All I was doing was going, just kill them all. Kill them all.
No, but you can't kill them. They're your children. Your children are sick. You want to stop them.
Yes, but
by the time that they fully understand, it's beyond their control.
I realize that. To me, it was such poorly shot, poorly acted, that I just didn't give a damn about these people.
How is it poorly shot? It's perfectly professional.
I didn't think it was.
Oh, I thought it was very well made.
I just thought it was the way they had these kids killing off their parents was just so stupid. Here's a dad
really
on a sleigh going down head first, going and this kid comes across the way with antlers on their little sled or their.
It was a garden tool with like hooks on the end.
Yeah, and the dad goes head first into that, and I'm going, come on. Give me a break.
I thought it's perfectly
He was going to collide. If I was going to collide with something, I would have rolled off the sled.
Well, the kids are very, very good at timing and making it look like accidents.
Very good.
Well, I mean, okay, we're both fans of The Walking Dead. This movie, to me, is more plausible than The Walking Dead.
Oh, not to me. Not to me at all.
You think zombies rather than mentally deranged children?
No, I just don't think the kids could have pulled it off. They're dragging adults off with sleds, putting them on sleds and dragging them away. Yeah. And then they're stuffing dolls into people's chests and things. I'm sorry. No way. I
think a 40-pound child armed with a knife or a garden implement is just as capable of murdering a grown-up as another grown-up is. And the fact that the grown-ups refuse, they're blind to the possibility that it's the kids doing this. They're looking everywhere but at the actual source of mayhem. And it's because they're beautiful children. At the beginning, anyway. By the end, they're looking a little worse for wear. But that little girl in particular with the big eyes and the dark hair, I mean, she's like an angel. And the little boy, the first little boy who gets sick, he's like a little blonde angel. He was
like comatose through the whole movie.
Yeah, well, he shows up sick and infects the others. And this sickness obviously is spreading throughout England, because by the end of the movie, there's a good reveal. Yeah. So I would recommend it. I would say put this on while you're having your Christmas dinner.
Not me. I just couldn't wait for it to end.
Well, then I can only assume that our next movie you thought was really, really good. Caesar and Otto's Deadly Christmas.
Oh, I think this was something that they shot and put on the internet by a bunch of people that just thought they were clever.
Yeah. This is a 2013 movie written and directed by Dave Campfield. Dave Campfield stars as Caesar. His half-brother Otto is played by Paul Chomicki. Now, the only thing that this movie has going for it, and sadly it's a very small thing, is that it employs a lot of scream queens, aging, dare I say, scream queens, and some dudes who've long been in the horror movie. Linnea Quigley plays Caesar's agent, and she goes right back. First movie I believe I ever saw her in. She plays the little nudie punk rocker in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, really?
So that goes right back to the 80s. You know, it is, as Mark just said, it is like amateur hour.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like it because a friend of the show, Justin at Broken Glass Pictures, he's the publicist on this. And I just have to say that, I thought it was boring. It took me a long time to watch it because I'd watch 20 minutes and just have to walk away. But I persevered, and I did watch like the last hour altogether, the last 45 minutes, say, altogether. And it just never got any better.
No.
And Dave Campfield is particularly annoying. He's got this thick lisp.
But he puts on this macho voice, so sort of like this. He's always saying, the Otto, there's no way that this should be.
It sounds like Sylvester. And it was ridiculous. And if
he means Sylvester the cat.
Yeah.
From Warner Brothers
as opposed to Stallone. Oh my goodness!
It just went on and on.
And it's grating.
Oh, it's so amateurish.
Yeah.
And they're making another movie.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh God, save us!
They're a Halloween movie.
Yeah, something
next.
like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I don't know the background here. This isn't probably the only thing they've done. These characters have been around for a while, Caesar and Otto. At least from when I was watching the movie, I had this impression that these are characters that have done other things together and that this is just their Christmas movie.
Oh, good God.
They must have something on the net or something like that.
I have no idea. Maybe they've made shorts.
I'm kind of wondering if that's the case because it just doesn't seem like something that is a start. It seems like these guys
we're supposed to already know who these characters are.
Yeah, there's some sort of background there that we're not privy to.
Right.
But it just seemed that way to me.
Don't want to be privy.
No, I mean, it just, it's just a dumb movie.
And it desperately wants to be a comedy. It wants to be a black comedy, but I found the comedy never works. There's a newscaster character, and the most wooden bore, and it's not intentional. I think they thought, oh, you have a suit, you can be the newscaster. But this monotonous voice constantly droning out of this guy, and they keep going back to him. They overuse these terrible characters that just shouldn't even be there to start with.
It's almost like a bunch of graphic arts students got together, and they do put on these commercials and these news shows and everything, and they do have graphics on them. And they try to make it look legit, but they just don't pull it off.
And way too much shaky handheld camera. I don't know why they wouldn't just use a tripod and just anchor the camera and shoot it. And why it had to look so awful.
And this Santa keeps coming back.
The killer Santa.
The killer Santa. He keeps disappearing and then coming back.
Yeah.
Disappearing, coming back. Yeah. It's not even about him.
No.
It's about these two idiots.
Yeah, the two idiots. And Caesar has a phobia about Christmas, yet he has to take a job because he's a struggling actor as a Santa. And Otto and his ridiculous would-be romance with this unpleasant woman who he went to high school with. And and they're supposed to be half brothers, and Otto looks like his dad.
Yeah.
He's like this big fat grizzled slob, and Caesar is like this little gay man. It's just, they have nothing in common.
They don't look like at all.
Well,
of course that could happen because their mothers were so radically different or something.
Oh, their mothers should have been killed at birth. It's just it's the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bad Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Most Christmas movies are bad.
You like The Children? I think it's pretty much the same.
Well, it's as I say.
One of the things about The Children that I didn't mention is that I found it very difficult to understand what they're saying sometimes because the British accents got in the way.
Oh, I had no problem.
Kept saying, what? What?
Oh, no, I had no problem with that. All right, well, enough with Caesar and Otto. Oh, jeez.
Now we're going to come back home a little bit.
The 12 Disasters of Christmas.
Shot in Squamish, BC.
Squamish, BC, our backyard. This is a 2012 made-for-TV movie for the Syfy network, and I know I've howled at Mark in the past for forcing me to watch the Syfy movies. I picked this one, and I've forever apologized to Mark for making him watch this.
Hey, it was better than the previous movie there, that Caesar and Otto.
Yes, and it was also, I think, slightly better than Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
Yeah, which were made probably by the same people.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So this is directed by Stephen R. Munro, written by Rudy Thauberger. It stars, and these names are unbelievable, the character names, stars Magda Apanovitz as JC, Ed Quinn as Joseph, Holly Alyssa as Mary. That's her mom and dad, Joseph and Mary.
JC.
Ryan Grantham as the younger brother Peter. And then the villains are played by Rourke Critchlow as Cain and Andrew Airlie as Jude. Why not just call him Judas?
Yeah.
Which is what he is. He's the big traitor of the group.
I love the biblical names, especially JC. I'm going, oh, jeez.
Yeah. Now, the plot is really hilariously ridiculous. The ancient Mayans.
Yes, this is...
Thousands of years ago, they hid, up in I think it's supposed to take place in Colorado. Certainly it's not supposed to take place in BC.
No.
But it's like the mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it's like Colorado, so somewhere like that. And this little tiny town. And the world is ending. The blood coming out of the faucet when you turn on the water. You got giant spears of ice coming down.
Yeah, that was good.
Impaling grandmas and stuff. That was pretty funny. And just before she dies, Grandma gives JC a magical ring that she's got, which makes JC's birthmark start to swell and glow and twitch and cause her pain.
It's on her arm, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not like it's...
Would have been better on her forehead.
On her breast or something.
Yeah, her forehead would have been good. So the idea is that, this is a 2012 movie. This was set to be Syfy's big end-of-the-world movie.
Yeah.
Which was supposed to take place
How did we not see this last year?
December 21, 2012.
Yeah.
So 12/21/12. Why 1-2-2-1-1-2 is magical? I don't know.
It's the same as reason as any other number is magical.
Yeah, really. So an extremely stupid movie, and the idea that the ancient Mayans, and they got the time all screwed up. So the Mayans were rubbed out by the Spanish about, say, 400 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're talking that the Mayans 1,000 years ago, when they were in danger of being wiped out, started hiding these magical rings which could avert the end of the world, and they wrote up a cartoon book, all illustrated instructions on
a nice book.
How to divert the end of the world. You notice, so Donnelly Rhodes, who's a local actor who plays,
always plays.
Yeah, he's the crank who actually knows what's going to happen.
I think he's probably done about 20 sci-fi movies.
It's just awful, just awful. He's the one who's put all this Mayan arcane knowledge to use, and he's got this 1,000-year-old Mayan codex. It's all illustrated, and as he's looking at it, he's like running his dirty, grubby fingers over the text, like rubbing over there. This is a 1,000-year-old book. You treat it with a little more delicacy. You don't fold it up and stick it in your back pocket, it's just...
I like the fact that the cover is actually it's a compass of some sort.
Yes, a magic compass.
Yeah, that's supposed to tell you where the rings are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it had some storyline behind it.
Well, if it had been made by people with some intelligence and perhaps some money...
Yeah. Well, no, it is what it is.
Oh, it's super cheap. Super cheap.
Yeah.
I've said before, I'll never watch another sci-fi movie. Well,
but you will.
And I'm sure I will again.
Because sci-fi is Christmas.
Oh, yes. Very, 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 very. Oh, my God. All right. Well, let's get on to...
That's it for that? You're not going to talk about it?
What else is there to say? You got more to say?
Well, they end up saving the world.
Yeah.
But after much sorrow, then there's this guy trying to drag them back and sacrifice the girl on an altar.
Yeah. And they're trying to make it appear that the, global warming and it's so much hotter and there's no snow yet. Well, you can see on the mountains in the background, there's snow all over them.
Well, Squamish is surrounded by mountains.
Absolutely. Yet they distinctly say at the beginning of the movie, unseasonably warm, no snow.
And
it's so stupid.
There's all these different disasters that are happening. And some of them...
But they only last about 5 seconds, and then they're over.
Yeah, but there's a lot of wind disasters.
Yeah.
And there was...
the tornado. The tornado in a Christmas tree lawn.
Yeah, that was
suddenly, this gigantic tornado covered in Christmas trees. and JC's best friend, who's picked her up and is driving her out, her car gets picked up and then just dropped on her. It just like squishes her like jelly. I thought,
the car.
Well, she's better off. She's out of
I
it.
thought that was good. We laughed.
Yeah.
We laughed when that car was lifted up and wham,
Just
right on
squish.
top of her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big hammer.
I love things like that.
Oh, it's such a bad movie, though. Oh, my goodness.
Always saved at the end of the day.
And the girl playing JC is just, I didn't like her. She's this scowling, unpleasant 18-year-old.
I didn't mind her.
Oh, I just thought she was so full of herself.
I thought she was.
Of course, she is the savior of the world. So
That's right.
Yeah.
I just love the names. Every time another name was shown.
Yeah, it's another biblical name. You know, where's Moses?
Yeah. I said, Cain? What about Abel? Where's Abel?
That's right. Yeah. Well, the director wasn't able to make a good movie, that's for sure.
Oh, it was great.
Now let's, okay, Mark really, really recommends it, folks.
It's high on my list of Christmas movies of this year.
Yeah. Well, you know, you spend time with this group, your own family seems better somehow. All right, well, let's get on with one more movie, and again, it's not a Christmas movie, but it was released at Christmas last year, and the second in the series of The Hobbit. We haven't seen yet. It's opening soon, like next week.
The Desolation of Smaug.
The Desolation of Smaug. We're talking about the 2012 version of The Hobbit, an unexpected journey. But the extended version, which I have just seen on DVD. It's not a lot of extended scenes.
12 minutes of extended.
And very little that added depth to the story.
In fact, there was only a couple key points that it made, and it explained why the elves and the dwarves were so
That's right.
mad at each other.
It explains that right at the beginning. And I don't know why they didn't leave that.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't.
Because it's 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I would have rather have known that. Other than they're, sniffy with each other.
Yeah, exactly. That should have been in the original release. And the other stuff was like extended songs. And, more songs.
Yeah.
And I'm going, don't really need that.
No.
Don't really need it at all. And I hear there aren't any songs in the second movie.
Good.
So good for that.
Yeah.
It's not something that needed to be added.
No.
So overall, I think they probably could have added like 3 minutes of that extended 12 minutes, and it would have made the movie a little bit better.
We wouldn't have needed the extended at all.
Not at all.
Unlike The Lord of the Rings, where I thought all three of those movies, I enjoyed the extended scenes.
Yes, they added a lot.
They did. There was much more depth. In this extended version, it's still a good movie. It's still well worth seeing, and if you haven't seen it at all, you might as well watch the extended version.
Yeah.
And the songs are okay, but the songs are by no means my favorite part of the original. Yeah. It is obviously a bit of a money grab. People buy big fans will buy the first release and then they'll buy the extended release as well.
I think that the big fans actually held off on the first release.
Well, some of them will. But you know what I mean. The fanatics will rush out and get the first version they can, and then they'll also buy the extended version. Yeah. But in this case, unlike the Lord of the Rings movies, which had, upwards of half an hour, 40 minutes of unseen footage, this is paltry.
Yeah.
For one thing, they're turning a small kid's book into 3 long, overextended movies as it is.
Yeah.
So why would there be half an hour of footage for the first movie that they didn't need to shoot?
Yes.
Obviously there wasn't. So the Goblin, he has a nice song. And of course, we're big fans of Barry Humphries, Dame Edna, who plays the Great Goblin. And he gets a nice song, but it's unnecessary.
The song wasn't extremely necessary.
And where was the orchestra? Where's the band? You see a guy playing drums, and that's all you see. But he's got like a full band behind him. Where is the Goblin band?
It does explain a little lore behind the goblins and things like that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But not unnecessary.
No. And I know people 20 years from now, when they watch these movies, they'll watch The Hobbit first.
Yeah.
And I think the big escape scene in that movie from the goblins, where they're going over the rickety bridges now, I think that's going to take away ultimately from the great escape scene in the first of the Lord of the Rings movies, where they're escaping from the dwarf underground cave system.
Right.
The kingdom.
Yeah.
Moria.
Yeah.
And they're escaping in Moria, and that's rickety bridges. They're stone, but still, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's jumping from one to another as it's collapsing underneath them.
In that case, it was more of a huge set.
Yeah, but the goblins live in an enormous world too.
Yeah,
underground.
unbelievably.
But it's all put together with planks and rope.
I think that scene takes away from the movie because it becomes so outrageously unbelievable.
It's like something out of the more recent Indiana Jones movies where they're obviously just designing a roller coaster ride for Disneyland.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just read just yesterday that Disney has bought the rights for Indiana Jones.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah, but they've already got an Indiana Jones ride in the Disneyland.
Well, I think they're slowly buying up all the rights to all the rides that they had.
Yeah.
They bought Lucasfilms, so now they own all the Star Wars.
Yeah.
So now they're getting 100% of the money from those rides.
Yeah. So anyway, The Hobbit extended version, if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing, but it's all right.
It just doesn't add that much.
No.
I wish they would have put some of the key points in the original, and that was it.
Yeah, that's about it.
It really didn't need the songs.
Well, let's wrap up our Christmas show. Hope everyone is having a merry week and
festive season.
Let's just quickly go through the movies we talked about. Thor: The Dark World. Yes or no?
I like it.
Okay, I thought it was all right. Christmas Evil. It's a laugh, but it's a terrible movie, and
I can't say to recommend it, but it does have I don't know. It's just, I'm conflicted over it. I'm conflicted.
It's a pretty awful movie, but it has a few laughs. The Children, I liked a lot more than Mark, obviously.
I detest this movie.
Mark detested it. He's scared of children, I guess.
I guess that's what really bugs me. It's like, if you had kids, you would take a different take on the movie.
Well, that's the amazing thing, isn't it? That there isn't a single person associated with that movie who has a child or knows a child.
I just thought it was too unrealistic how the kids killed off their parents.
There you go. Well, I'm all for that anyway. Caesar and Otto's Deadly Christmas.
Oh, stay away from it.
Absolutely awful. The 12 Disasters of Christmas.
It's a sci-fi movie. If you enjoy them, I'd say go for it.
Yeah,
and it also gives our local economy a boost.
Yeah. It's pretty bad though. And the Hobbit extended version. If you haven't seen any version, watch the extended version. Otherwise, you've seen it.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, we'll tell you. The elves didn't come to the aid of the dwarves because they were jealous of the Ark and Stone.
If you couldn't figure that out from the first movie,
and the dwarves kind of snubbed them.
Yeah.
So they got their comeuppance.
Those damn dwarves.
Comeuppance. That's it.
Okay, so we'll be back next week with reviews of more new movies and maybe a classic or two. We'll certainly be talking about The Last Days of Mars next week, and that'll be our Happy New Year show.
Yeah. There's no better way of celebrating New Year's than being on Mars.
If you want to see a movie that I'll certainly be praising next week, it's Antisocial. That also comes from our friends at Broken Glass Pictures, who are responsible for Caesar and Otto. Sorry about that. All right, so Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all the rest of it.
And don't drink too much.
No, and talk to you soon. Jerry says goodbye.
You did?
I did.
And I say so long.